Hey, you're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Basonko. And today I am here with my amazing co-host, Mr. Mamadou
I've joined Ballet in being amazing.
Yes!
Amazing.
I just gave you the crown.
Oh, cheers. We'll see what happens. Well, Ballet returns.
When he returns, I might look for another name for him.
Super amazing.
Super amazing. But Mr. Ade, good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
You didn't join us yesterday.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, I guess.
Since I've been here in the kind of newspaper review.
Yeah.
I've sat there
a couple
of times.
Sure.
But it's been a while, yes, that I've not been here.
Okay, so what's up with the newsroom and everything that's going on?
Yeah, it's exciting times. Always there's something happening every day. And one of our colleagues is leaving us soon to go somewhere else. I won't say where.
I'm going to cry.
We're all going to cry.
Who's cutting onions?
Exactly. Somebody's peeling onions nearby. But yeah.
Mr. Mboy, dama dramatic.
It's part of it.
Wow, dama dramatic. Lolo nangul len mako. Yalla dogal na lolo. Ñu war ko muna nangu na.
Yeah, it's part of the cycle of life, I guess. Yeah. But things go on and the jobs go on. People leave. They don't take the job with them. Somebody else will step in there.
But I think just leaving things behind can be very challenging. I've never gone through it actually, because working for QTV, this is like my first real job.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Mboy, don't call me a baby.
And this isn't. It's not even really a job, is it? It's like fun.
This is my first real job. So I've never experienced it before, but you guys have experienced it. The fact of like having to leave, people that you love so much, that you've worked with, and all of that.
There was a time in
that colleague vibe.
It is in the civil service back in England when I was working in England. There are times when once you get promoted, in many instances you probably didn't even stay in the ministry or the division that you're in. You move to another ministry or another department, and so
it's just
about 6 or 7 times. When I was promoted, I
that's a lot, and you have to leave colleagues back out.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mboch, how do you deal with that?
It's the same, isn't it? Remember our quote, parting is such sweet
Yeah.
sorrow. You know how many times we've quoted
sweet
that
sorrow,
because people are moving.
Yeah.
But this is it. Once you reach a certain age, you will have experience.
You have to
quite a bit of this
transition.
thing.
Yeah, quite.
And then you take it in your stride.
Absolutely.
When it comes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
People are always leaving. Some are coming in, others are leaving.
Yeah.
It's
there
an
has
evolving door.
Yeah.
It has to be that.
Yeah.
That's nature, that's life.
Yeah, that is life, that is, like you mentioned. So we were supposed to have the NRA in the studio, but unfortunately they can't make it here. But it's something we can discuss, considering that they will not be around, because President Adama Barrow had a surprise visit, actually did a surprise visit at the Bundung Road rehabilitation and construction area.
Yeah.
And he was not
he was not happy.
satisfied with the progress. He was not satisfied with the progress, unfortunately. So at least he did a surprise visit and checked. So the fact that it's out there that he's not satisfied might speed up things in a good way.
It might. I mean, we haven't done the proverb yet, but if we're coming to this one now, I was intrigued when I heard one of the officials say that he's spoken to the engineering company that are doing it.
Yeah.
And they said that they will keep to schedule. They're already behind schedule. So, for what schedule are you keeping to?
Yeah.
But he made it plain that he was not happy with what he had seen, and of course the residents of the area were also not happy. And if people saw the news report that we did, they would have seen that there's still a lot that needs to be done to bring it up to sort of a decent standard. And that hasn't been done yet. And so people are obviously disgruntled. And what they're really worried about is that should the rains come, then they're going to be in trouble. And rain season supposedly started in May, but we're now on the 2nd of July, and we've just had the first kind of drizzle. We had one heavy rainfall about 2.5
Not even,
weeks ago.
I wouldn't call that heavy even.
Well, but the next day,
in our context currently,
places were flooded.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of poor planning that we have. Places were flooded after that one night of rain. And then today we've had a bit of a drizzle. But if this continues and it gets worse, then those people really will be in trouble. And that's why they were
They'll
upset.
have to stop.
You know, and so that's why they were upset, because they know that once that comes, then the road construction will have to be halted. So they don't want that to be the case. So they've been lucky in the sense that, you know, the rains have held off, certainly in this part of the country, in the kind of urban area.
Even in the rural areas.
Yeah, I mean, there was one
CRR,
big one
it was
in
just
URR,
one big one.
but that was it.
Yeah.
And that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So
yeah.
it's not been, you know.
Here, though, one wonders. Who is in charge of this directly? Who give out the contracts? Sometimes certain things happen and the heads must roll. Why does it have to take the president?
Yeah.
Somebody
has to be held accountable.
Somebody sort of supervising all of these things. And one imagines that you have to a certain benchmark. After a certain period, you know, you're going to have to monitor.
Yeah.
So
I think that will come because what you get is that in a situation like this where a contract has been awarded, do you pull out the contract now, or do you let them complete and penalize them? For failing to meet certain targets and certain, you know, benchmarks. And I guess, you know, the reason we were going to have the NRA is because it's to do with roads. Yeah. They have overall responsibility. So even if they don't award the contract, they must have a monitoring role that they play when it comes to something like roads. Absolutely. So, you know, one would imagine. But as you said, heads must roll. So they'd have to look back. Okay, a company that has been awarded a contract and is underperforming. Why are they underperforming? How did they get the contract? You know, what did they present to say we can do this for them to be awarded the contract? So all of those things would have to be looked at and addressed. And I guess that's kind of where we find ourselves.
Yeah, that's kind of where. But also we saw that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia actually gave scholarships to the ministry. Oh, Morocco, rather. Sorry, yes. The Kingdom of Morocco. I think because Babu Kassise is back from Hajj, and from Saudi Arabia, and I just spoke to him. So probably that is why I have the Saudi Arabia in my head. But the Kingdom of Morocco actually gave the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology scholarships to distribute these scholarships. And it's not just with Morocco, you know, it's just with different countries with the bilateral ties that we have. They get to give out scholarships. I think Morocco, it's been the longest time ever that they've been giving, especially in the STEM areas.
And also last year at the, which was it? Was it at the GPU Awards? The guy, Pakistan ambassador, mentioned that they were also awarding scholarships. And what's interesting about the Morocco one is that it's not just for government institutions. So private institutions, students from private institutions can also benefit from those scholarships. So that's slightly unusual.
Very unusual. I'm surprised.
They give it to the likes of UTG and that's it. But they've specified that even those attending private institutions can apply and be granted those scholarships.
Private institutions.
And so when Professor Gomez made the point, he said this is not just for state-run institutions. He said private institutions can also apply, you know, students attending those. So yeah, that's good.
I suppose that's really how it should be.
It should be.
Yeah, because but it was
really,
never.
If you want to get really the brilliant people,
the best.
They can come from anywhere.
Yes.
That's it. You want to get the best, so open it.
That's it.
You know, have your competitive criteria, competitive rules of how you can get them.
And if they meet the criteria,
then why not?
I think that's fair, actually. You know, when we talk about this public-private partnership and everything, you know, it's important that, like you said, we realize it from all sectors. But normally that has never happened. Most of the time it's just, you know, scholarships given to the state and not individuals in the private sector. But there's something I want us to discuss because we are in this period where students graduate because obviously it's summer. So previously
summer in Europe. It's rain season.
Okay, we can summer school. Did it? Why we call it summer school?
It's Europe summer, not Africa. It's our rain season. Anyway,
okay, it's rainy season, but we always called it summer school. Growing up,
you know, because the colonials, when they wanted to go on their summer holidays
then
in Europe,
summer.
Then they'd say summer.
Okay,
let me
take that back.
We don't have winter, summer, spring.
We are in rainy season.
We have rain season and dry season.
We are in rainy season currently in the Gambia.
Thank you. Thank you.
So during this period, there are lots of graduations. Previously, the graduation is just at the university level.
Yeah.
But now you graduate at nursery.
Yeah,
I'm just seeking your opinion on this. You graduate at nursery, you graduate at primary school, and you wear the hat and everything. You do all the rituals.
It's become a thing.
You graduate senior secondary school, college, university, all the way. You get the hat and do all the rituals that are involved in the graduation process.
The world is changing.
So what's your take on that?
Well,
do you think that is kind of, not okay?
I'm old enough to remember when no school person was called a student. You were a pupil in my day.
Okay.
Now I hear them calling 10-year-old children students. You were a pupil.
Yeah.
When you went to college, you were a student.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now everybody's a student. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of fed into this whole graduation nonsense that you're talking about.
Oh.
You graduate from this, graduate from that. We just did our common entrance, and that took you from primary school to secondary school. We'd never heard of graduations, but it has become a thing now, and I think the tide has reached a point where there's no turning back.
I don't think there's
it's just become a thing now. So
we used to call it prize and speech.
they had those.
Yeah, we had those.
Yes. But this is not even about that.
This is not about that. and to me, we've lost something.
Okay.
Because before, to graduate, well, first you gotta be an undergraduate.
Yeah,
you need to go to university.
Yeah.
So there was something aspirational there.
About
It
graduation.
was worth the wait.
It was worth it.
The
So
wait.
you will go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Right now, we've cheapened it.
Yeah.
Everybody is graduating. It's something that we've imported from America.
From
It's really
America.
an
It's an
American
American
thing,
culture.
not the Brits.
Yeah,
Really,
it's
it's
an
very
American
much an
thing.
American
It's an
thing.
American
thing.
We're importing everything from US
Yeah.
without really putting it through some critical filters. We have cheapened it.
We've just-
That aspirational stuff. Everybody, you wanted to be a graduate. You're going to go on to university.
Yeah.
It's all gone. And then kids begin to think that they know things. I am meeting a good number
because
of
you
them.
graduated.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that illusion of knowingness. Do you know how long it takes to really
to know stuff.
you know,
Yeah.
you know how much effort. So this is what we have now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't agree with it either.
But
I
I think-
feel like kids are not excited and they're not looking forward to the end goal of your entire education
No,
journey.
they're just looking forward to the graduation.
Just wear a gown.
Wear a
and
gown
there's nothing in your head.
And it really is a big thing. I mean, I saw in Sierra Leone, somebody sent me video of her daughter. I mean, they were 10-year-old.
Look at that.
And they were all in gowns and they graduated.
With the
I'm like,
hat.
This is insane.
The other day I saw somebody who was like 2.
Yeah.
And then at the barber
graduating
shop,
from
I
nursery.
hope the mother is not watching. At the barber shop, giving the kid a haircut because the kid was going to have a graduation.
And you were
I
like,
was like, oh my God. But I didn't dare say anything.
don't dare anything
No
to the
way. I
parents.
just, okay, all right, fine.
Yeah,
That's
but
how they do it these days. It's the
it's-
trend.
yeah. It's
Simply
become
a trend.
And times
Give it-
change.
Yeah.
Times change. I mean,
It's a
in
trend.
yeah.
in 10 years from now,
Yeah.
it'll be something else.
It will be
be
something
something
else.
So, yeah.
Actually, I never actually went through that. I didn't graduate from nursery. At the time that I was like going to proper school,
It wasn't
we
a-
didn't
it
have
wasn't a
stuff
thing
like
then,
that.
but it
We
is.
didn't. But
Yeah.
now it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Or you're graduating, like you said, at 2, at 5, so which is defeating the whole purpose.
We've been invited, QTV, to go and do a nursery graduation. and
Several times.
we turned it down.
Several
I mean,
times.
it's-
Nursery school graduations.
Come on.
So I think we should take a look at this properly. Graduating is one thing, but getting the stuff, like you said, undergraduate, like being an actual graduate, that is where, the victory is, not, the little ones.
I think the horse has bolted. I
Yeah,
don't think,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
not gonna
think
happen again.
there's no turning back.
Okay,
There
let's
really is
make
no
it better.
turn-
As long as there's no turning back, let's
There
look
is
for
no
a way.
turning back. Just like
act-
now, you will not get people referring to school-going people as pupils.
No,
That's gone.
that's so gone.
Everybody who sends in a report mentions students.
Yeah,
So people don't even know the word pupil exists
yeah.
in that context.
Yeah,
So that's gone.
yeah.
So,
People actually existed
times
during my
change.
time.
Times change.
Absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
Mr. Mbod, you talked about the common entrance, a little bit. the fact-
I did.
Oh, you did. You
I
talked about the common entrance, which
Yeah.
used to be there.
Yeah.
By the time that I was going to grade 6,
Yeah.
going to 7, there was the common entrance
We
was
had
out of it.
standard 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes,
etc.
for there was no common entrance at that point.
Right.
But growing up, some of my older siblings would always talk about, Dangawara pass common entrance. Like common entrance was the word. It was the thing.
It hung over you. Like
yes. So the moment you don't, and you know what? Let's do the comparison, because in Senegal they have what they call the bac and BFM. These two, baccalaureate. This you have to. People faint when they don't pass this because they know they're not moving anywhere. So now that it's not existing, like you said, we've chippened it in a way.
Yeah, because for us, it was a whole ritual that you would go, you'd study leading up to it, and then on the day you took the exam, you would go and see your teachers and you would explain. They would ask you, how did you do? And we had worked out this thing, my friends and I, whatever the teacher said, it was tough, but we did our best. We didn't want anybody to brag that, it was easy. Even if you thought it was easy. Like,
just to be safe.
Don't jinx it by saying it was easy. So all of us, I remember our teacher, Mrs. Streeter, bless her, she called us into her house. She said, how was it? And before anybody could talk, I said, Mrs. Streeter, it was tough, but we did our best. And everybody chipped in like, yeah, it was tough, but we did our best. Because in those days, what you also did was you would write down the schools in order of preference. Okay. First, second, and third choice preference. I don't know what is that.
Same here.
Still happens. Okay. And my father was annoyed because I didn't choose his school. Prince of Wales. I chose the Cerro Grammar School. Because my great grandfather had once been principal of that school, so I chose.
So there's a traditional thing attached
and
to
also
it.
my brother was attending, my older brother, who was 2 years older than myself. So my father was like, I should have chosen my school, But so when I went there, and I had a remarkable tale to tell, because when I got there, they were so snobbish, because it was a Christian school and they heard the name Darami and they thought, he must be Muslim. And one of the guys at the interview on the day after I passed the exam, he said, are you sure you've come to the right place?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he sent me out. I was calm. I didn't freak out. I didn't cry. I just went. I got my dad. By then my dad was a government minister. So when he walked in, they were like, Darami, what are you doing here?
I had brought
And he said, my son said you guys turned him away.
Yeah.
And they're like, you stupid boy, why didn't you say?
So why do you need to say that to be accepted?
And then my dad said, do you realize his great-grandfather was once principal of this?
Yeah.
And they didn't know until I told them,
then
Bishop,
which means
I
if
said
your
Bishop
dad
Johnson,
was in that.
on my mother's side, Bishop Johnson had been a principal of the school. And they were like, of course. And I was in.
That's
but they're kind of snobbish. I mean, had I not had that connection,
had
my father not been in that position, they would have just sent me out just because of my name.
But your common entrance mark was good.
It was
obviously,
good enough to
that's
get in.
why. Mr. Mbojo.
Sierra Leone. It was very funny, that anecdote there. So very much like Banjul. Of course, they were all Creoles.
They were all the same.
All the same Creoles in charge.
Yeah.
I suppose that's one of the reasons, I guess, why the Muslims sort of had Muslim high
Muslim
school.
high.
Muslim high.
A good number of the Muslims in Banjul.
Because you had Methodist Boys High School.
That's it. So afterwards, Methodist Boys High School became Gambia High School, St. Augustine. So those were the ones they had.
Yes.
But this is it. Around that time, the common entrance was everything. It was just extraordinary. You studied so hard. It was just everything, because if you don't get a certain mark, those people would go. No, you're not going to go to high school. You go to the technical.
Technical and vocational.
I don't like that.
So what
that
it
was
did,
the attitude.
this is it. But again, what it did, it allowed the cream to float to the top. See, this is very interesting.
I don't like that.
So people who got to high school, it was a true meritocracy. But this is it. This is it. Now we've got into a mood. I think that was why they changed it. It's been a debate really in education circles. Should we have exams or not? Why should we put these kids through this pressure?
Right.
But life is about selection.
True.
When I go out to the real world, this is exactly what I'm going to face.
I agree.
So we've gone all soft. You've got this liberal now ideology, this wet, what in Britain we used to call wet. These wet ideas now circulating. We've just all gone soft. No common entrance, no exams. You're just being shooed in. So you have the numbers. You never
anyway, the
have
pros and cons are there.
It is not profound at all.
One of the good things.
One of the good things.
One of the good things that they've taken away is the punishment. We used to get caned. Like,
corporal punishment? It used to be a thing. I used to be whooped back in
me.
primary school.
Trust me, I got caned at every school I went to because I wasn't obnoxious, but I was opinionated.
Yeah.
And if I believed I was right, I don't care if you were the teacher or the headmaster, I would stand my ground. And of course, that was not what they wanted to see.
They don't want that.
But, my parents encouraged us to speak out and speak up,
And face the consequences.
And face the consequences. My father always used to say, if you have done something wrong, there are times when I refuse to be caned because I hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
I don't mind you caning me because I've done something. But I'll be damned if I'm going to be caned for something I haven't done.
Yeah.
No. And sometimes the teacher would say, I saw you running in the corner like me. No, you didn't. I'm not.
They'll just bring up stuff.
And just to bring up stuff, but there were these guys who were sadists and they just like caning people.
Yeah.
So when that was removed,
that helped.
That kind of was a big
That
thing.
really helped.
But unfortunately, it wasn't removed in my day. They still had it. Yeah, all the way up to my school.
Until only caning, even though we knew, for instance, in the Gambia,
about 1960s.
Those who went to Marina school, there was no caning.
No.
So it just depends.
There's no caning there.
It's
about the
sort of
context. Which school you are going to. Public schools, you'll be caned.
In Sierra Leone, every school.
Yes.
People.
Yeah, I think, I was caned too from primary school. Yeah, at that time. Yeah. Apart from primary school, along the lines.
I was the very school that I'm talking about, Sierra Leone Grammar School, I was expelled.
Yeah. So some of those
essentially because I refused that the vice principal caned me.
Yeah.
He claimed I was reading an obscene book.
Yeah,
there's a film magazine called Film and Photo Play. I'll never forget it. And I'm like, no, I'm not reading anything obscene. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know what obscene is at the age of 14. And I refused.
It was so,
And end of term, I got a letter with my results saying
most of the time
he's a disruptive pupil. We don't want him in this school. I cried.
Yeah.
Actually, I wept.
So most of the things were just unnecessary. Yeah. They will bid us for example, mental drill, having to cram timetable. Right now, it's not benefiting me.
Let me tell you something.
I have my phone. I'll just 5 times 5.
My first culture shock. I did a little bit of high school in England.
Right.
No caning.
No caning.
That was a culture shock. I thought there's something wrong here. I thought that there was something wrong with them.
Because you're used to being caned.
Secondly, we had an arithmetic test. And it was the teacher who brought in the calculator.
Right.
I remember back here when we had our watches. What was it? Casio watches. Then you could do your calculator. They will hit you. They will whip you. So right there, I had come sort of against two different concepts of education. Two different ways of doing education. It was an extraordinary eye-opener for me. So for me now, as a grown-up, I don't hit.
You can't.
It was quite extraordinary. And now we're beginning to see all the disadvantages. We know that where you overhit somebody, their capacity to learn is affected.
It's affected.
We don't see that. So we are not incorporating modern psychology into the way that we do things. We keep on saying, this is how we used to do it.
No.
Our parents whip us, especially. Nothing just look at how we've turned out. I'm like, please, that sounds like a relic from a last century.
And you know what's funny? I would tell my friends, I'm not going to beat my kids. And then they'll be like, you have to. You don't have a choice. You have to beat your kids. I'm like, there are several ways. Take what they love so much from them, ground them, look for other ways that you can actually use to punish them.
Because there are some people who take it too far. Their kids end up being brats. Yeah. We've seen some of them. Some of them are our friends. They have their children and I can't control him, I can't control her.
No, please.
Beg your pardon? You're the parent. They're not the parent. Give them rules, give them regulations, and give them limits that they and lines that they cannot cross. And if they cross that line, there are sanctions. Like you said, take things away from them that they like or they love or whatever. You don't have to cane them.
So, all right. So, Mr. Mboju passed the common entrance, obviously.
Yes.
More than at all.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't have to go through common entrance. And I'm so grateful.
So, what should I say? Lucky you or unlucky you?
Okay. Lucky me, unlucky me. Because I didn't go through common entrance. I don't think it affected me. Because it's about how you're raised. Within the context I was raised with my grandmother, that you have to learn, you're not mad. You have to pass grade 9. You have to pass grade 12. You have to pass to go to the next school. So we had the way we were raised, it was a family where that education was not, there was not an option that existed. And, we had one school that most of us went through, which is Nusrat High School. Like it's like a tradition that all my grandmother's children went through Nusrat. And to go to Nusrat, you have to have a very good aggregate. So I already knew that, I'm going to Nusrat and I had to go to the morning shift. My aggregate had to be good. So I already had a target. So you can actually set targets as a parent for your children, even if it's not a common entrance or a general
about
exam.
Morning shift. You had morning shift and afternoon shift?
If you pass, you go to the morning shift. If you fail, you go to the afternoon shift.
Whoa.
Not fail per se, but if your aggregate is not that good, you go to afternoon.
Because this was a thing that years after I'd left Sierra Leone and gone to England, one day I was passing by, I was sitting with a cousin and we were just chilling. And I saw these kids carrying desks and chairs on their heads. And I thought it was, I said, boy, the punishment has got even more bizarre since I left school. And my cousin said, what do you mean? I said, hot, burning sun, why are these kids carrying desks on their head? And she said the school has morning shift and afternoon shift, and these kids are actually taking the desks and chairs that they're going to sit. I'm like, no, you're kidding me.
Yeah, that used to happen.
But that was the case.
That was the case, unfortunately.
I was flabbergasted because in ours, we weren't oversubscribed to the extent where you needed a morning and an afternoon shift. Everybody went in the mornings. That was it, across the country. But of course, I'm now talking 20, 30 years after I'd left school and gone through college and on. I used to go back on holiday and everything. And like I said, I was just thought, what are they doing? Why are these kids carrying desks and chairs? And it turned out that they were afternoon shift and they were going and they had to because that was it. The school couldn't afford. The school I attended, Cathedral School, not only did you have all the desks and chairs you needed, every school had its own carpenter whose job was to fix anything that was broken. By the 80s, that had gone, of course.
No, it's still happening, actually.
That
it's
had
still
gone.
happening. It's the University of the Gambia, that just ended last year when the new
the
campus
new
was launched. If not, you have to go and look for a chair and a whatever to sit on at university level. But Mr. Ade, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
I've enjoyed it.
We talked about the fact that we do not have a representative from NRA, but now we do. So we'll just go for a short break. And when we come back, we will invite a representative. I'm sure Mr. Mboch has already thrown some of the questions at you that are meant for this representative about who the contract was awarded, who's responsible for the monitoring and evaluation and everything.
And will heads roll.
And yes, and generally, I just enjoyed this conversation. You know why? Just listening to the two of you and what you guys have done during your time, even though we are more whatever during our time, it's better right now. You guys were like old school and stuff.
Somebody's phone is on vibrate.
But I always enjoy listening to the both of you actually remembering things. It actually helps us to picture how things happened in the past and all of that.
Old school and new school.
New school on top.
Well,
like there's no argument.
So it's case of new school, older school.
Yes, new old. Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ade. Have a nice day. We'll just go for a short break and we will be right back.
Future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled device. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply. QCell, the fastest growing network in the Gambia, now presents to you the eSIM. QCell's eSIM allows you to electronically scan a code and join the world of digital SIM cards. Customers with physical SIMs can easily switch to the eSIM as well. So rush now and get connected with an eSIM and start using the latest mobile technology with your trusted GSM operator. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for the perfect place to promote your product or place your advert? Look no further than QTV. We are the premier destination for businesses looking to connect with Gambian audiences and beyond. At QTV, we offer a variety of advertising solutions to suit your needs and budget. With our diverse range of programming, you can be sure that your ad will reach a broad and engaged audience. From our popular news broadcast to our exciting music and entertainment programming, QTV has something for everyone. QTV, the premier destination for advertising in the Gambia. Contact us today and let us help you reach your audience.
Looking for internet for your free videos, pictures, chats, work, and school projects? Think Free Night Browsing. QCell's Free Night Browsing lets you browse the internet for free. Oh yeah. Get a data SIM, recharge a minimum of $500 and enjoy free browsing after 24 hours from midnight to 6 a.m. every night for 30 days. QCell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. It's happy time. Get 50% off all calls to any network. Enjoy calls every day to any network from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Is it too good to be true? QCell. We innovate, others follow. As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, Gambia's trusted network. QCell, the fastest growing network in the Gambia, now presents to you the eSIM. QCell's eSIM allows you to electronically scan a code and join the world of digital SIM cards. Customers with physical SIMs can easily switch to the eSIM as well. So rush now and get connected with an eSIM and start using the latest mobile technology with your trusted GSM operator. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions.
A dissatisfied President Barrow made another unannounced visit to the Bundung Road, which is contracted to SSTP, a Senegalese company headed by Managing Director Mamadou Sow. The project is among the 20 new urban roads that were to be developed as part of the Gambia's hosting of the OIC summit. Although some of the roads were not completed in time for the summit, it is expected that work on them still continue. President Barrow did not hide his frustration and disappointment, having observed that not much progress has been made since his previous visit 2 months ago. Unlike other contractors who have made tremendous progress, such as these ones in Brufut, Willinkama and Bigelow among others, the continued slow progress by this contractor is making conditions unbearable for many who were hopeful the road will be ready for use before the rainy season. The President is joined on this inspection visit by officials of the National Roads Authority and the National Disaster Management Agency to seek solution to the delay and to assess the state of its drainage construction, which, if not properly done, could pose a potential flooding problem. Usman Sanyang, the Managing Director of NRA, recognizes the importance of proper drainage in road construction.
So it's important that when you build roads, they are properly drained. And again, we are at the start of the rainy season. We had our first rains already. So this is an area in an urban built-up area where we have drains on either side, as you can see. So NDMA came here with myself just to ensure that the drains are cleared and also the flow paths for the water to drain are also clear, so that when water comes, it can actually follow its natural path.
Sana Dahaba, the Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, confirmed that President Barrow is not pleased with the contractor and had ordered that the road is ready on time and to ensure that drainage construction is aligned with natural waterways.
Last Thursday, I was here with National Road Authority because we all know that rainy season has started, and then we've identified some critical areas that needs to be worked on. One of them is the tree outlet that needs to be connected to the highway so that we have easy flow of water. So once we identify these things, I informed the president and I asked the president to come and see for himself, because these critical areas pose significant risk to the population. Bundung is highly densely populated, and then if this thing is not, the road is not completed, and we've identified certain critical areas that may pose threat to the population. It's important for the president himself to come and see for himself. And definitely I can tell you that the president is not happy about the work, and he has actually tasked the contractor to make sure that he finishes the work according to schedule.
Residents of Bundung and road users have expressed mounting frustration as the long-awaited road construction falls behind schedule. Promised completion dates have come and gone, leaving locals unhappy with the progress of work. They demanded transparency and swift action from authorities to alleviate growing discontent. The same contractor is also awarded the Old Joshua Cemetery Westfield Joko Road, where a similar slow pace of work has been observed. Reporting.
All right, President Adama Barrow there inspecting roads and expressed disappointment with the contractor awarded the Bundung Serekunda Road. Mr. Mboch, like I said, you already threw a set of questions at Ade, and fortunately now we have a representative, Bani Taiwo Chapman, who's the senior feeder roads manager, as well as the project coordinator for the OIC 50-kilometer roads, urban roads. Mr. Mboch?
Yes, good morning, I'm Mr. Chapman. So there, let's just establish background, isn't it? We wonder what happened there with the Bundung Road.
Well, it was a surprise visit by the president, and the purpose mainly was to check on the progress of work and try to see measures that the contractor and consultant are putting in place to avert any potential flood risks.
So that was the idea. Okay, yes. But he wasn't satisfied. You know the reasons why he wasn't satisfied?
He was dissatisfied mainly because the progress have been lagging for way too long. We have had extensions on this, but to put this into perspective or context, and from my own technical point of view, I believe there are a lot of other things that may have caused, or that would cause these problems. That is, issues like relocation of services, land acquisition. So because of these issues, the completion dates kept on shifting. And the fact that the contractor kept promising, giving us set dates and couldn't meet them, definitely.
So was there a failure of management?
No, it was not a failure of management. I think it was due mainly, partly because of the contractor, but mainly because of the complexities surrounding these projects. If you can understand what it takes to relocate services or build roads in a settlement.
Yes, I may not know it, yes. Granted, yes. But in drawing up a contract, one would have taken all of that into account, and then whatever money we need to pay, we set our timelines. So all of that must have been taken into account. One cannot turn around and say, you know, it's just so challenging. We know that, but how do you surmount them?
Well, I just before coming, I foresaw this question. I foresaw it.
Yes.
And I'm not going to be defensive about anything here, but to put it as it is. Roads projects, especially this type of project we're handling, goes through a process. A feasibility pre-contract activities are carried out. which is basically feasibility studies. But it turns out during construction, what you envisage and what's on the ground is not the same. So that's why I mentioned issues and constraints, such as services, which you don't even know where they are. Properties, which would take time to acquire, you know. So those complexities and dynamics involved in the process would tend to change the whole story.
But isn't it a bit curious that it had to take the president to come? Where I'm sure you must have had your monitoring scheme in place. So you have, of course, noticed that you were behind, the whole project was behind schedule, right? The contractor failing so many times. If the president had not come, then things would have just dragged on. What were you going to do to remedy the situation? It's quite interesting that the president had to come.
I would always say that it is not for the president. It is not his job, nor the minister. We are an implementing agency, and we have been doing, carrying our responsibilities. That is, because you just mentioned, is it a management problem? No, it is not.
So whose problem? Who's at fault here? Just the contractor?
Not the contractor.
So nobody is at fault here?
Because let me come. As I said, this is an activity that is taking place where there are a lot of constraints in an environment where you don't foresee all of these things. You understand? When you come to acquisition of properties alone, when you come to relocation of services, you don't know where they are located. You know, these are things that would have potential of delaying projects.
But a feasibility studies was conducted.
Yes.
So the feasibility studies could not help.
It
was not done right to be able to identify these challenges.
A feasibility study is tentative. It cannot be exact. And in a situation where you're building in a settlement, you can't even tell where the Gamtel pipes are.
Okay. So I want to go back to Mr. Mboch's question because I feel like, to me, you didn't answer it for me.
But again,
okay.
Due to exigencies, we had both contractors and subcontractors working in the same environment.
Okay.
And that is dangerous, and this is what happened.
So what I want to understand, because Mr. Mboch asked this question, but for me, I felt like I didn't get the answer I want to.
You want to clear.
The question is, if President Barrow did not go on ground to do this inspection, what sort of penalty or arrangements existed to ensure that this situation changes? You know, the road construction happens in the right way without the president. Because now that the president went there, I'm sure obviously they're trying to make sure, the president is here. He said he's dissatisfied. In a normal way, he's the leader. You're trying to fix things. The contractors will try to fix things.
Yes.
But at the time that the contractor was pushing and pushing, was there a penalty that existed? Or, anything that could put the contractor to check to deliver?
Yes, we have a contract. We have a works program. And as I said, the works program is behind schedule because of these constraints. It didn't have to take the president to come to site for a contractor to move. But I'm still saying, we have been managing it. We have been managing the works, and due to these constraints that I'm still trying to explain.
But I think, Mr. Chapman,
yes.
You will have to agree with Mr. Mboch a little bit when he asked, is this a management problem?
It is
I
not.
think there is a bit of a management. The fact that it couldn't be managed to an extent, the president had to come over and be dissatisfied on top of that.
The president this is not the first time he's coming to the site. He's been coming there over and over.
Yes, we are aware.
The main reason why he's dissatisfied is because there had been promises and set timelines which have not been met. Yes.
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those set timelines.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could make a promise, but then due to unforeseen constraints, you can't meet them.
What were some of these unforeseen constraints?
That's what I'm saying. In terms of relocation, okay, let me tell you, let me explain how this process works. You have to give access. You, the client, have to give access to site to the contractor. Complete access to contractor before you start works. And we all know how the OIC, the urgency that was in this OIC, we had to move. And for that reason, subcontractor and contractor had to work together. Ideally, we should have the subcontractor. When I say subcontractor, means the people who have to make the path.
Sorry.
That is the electrical guys, Gamtel, and then the land acquisition would have been done. So it's not even about the feasibility studies now. So now, if you clear the path, then contractually, you can hammer it, call it whatever you want to. You see?
Sir, but everything you've said
No,
there,
no.
all foreseeable.
I mean,
All
you
foreseeable.
knew.
I haven't heard a single
Yeah.
unforeseeable
Honestly.
circumstance.
Honestly.
No, I'm
detail.
coming.
Honestly.
I'm coming.
Okay.
So now, in the event you're not doing that, you bring in both subcontractors and contractors to work simultaneously. Calls for trouble. This is what the whole problem is.
Calls for trouble, two people working simultaneously.
Yes.
That's a coordination. That's a managerial failure. Sir, this is what I've been trying to say. However way you're looking at it, it appears that
there's
here
a management lapse.
we clearly
Okay.
establishing here
Now,
failure of management.
now, for example, you'd have a Gamtel subcontractor who has to take out a service line. But because it's taking longer for him to move that service line, it's affecting the contractor to move. So that is obviously already a conflict.
That's a coordination
Yes, so
problem. Management still.
It's not, no, coordination is ongoing. We continuously, as I said, they are unforeseen. They are for unseen activities when you're carrying.
But you know you'll have to get that pole or that out. You before the contract, you knew that there are certain things that needed to be fixed for the road construction to be smooth.
So
it's obvious.
But I'm saying they're working simultaneously. So in the first place, that should not have.
the same thing.
No, it should not have happened due to. I think you just don't want to understand.
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm saying due to the urgency, we are having both contractors and subcontractors, and it should not happen.
Okay, so now the damage has already been done.
Yes.
There's a delay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a delay. The president
But
visited.
I hope you understand what
we'll
what
just
I'm
let
trying
it
to
go
say.
because we have to.
No,
move.
you don't have to let it
No,
go.
we
You
have
have
to
to
because we
understand.
have to move. But the president visited. He's dissatisfied. So at this point in time, what next?
Okay.
What's the new deadline?
Yes. What can we do?
Now, if you understand very well the urban 50 kilometers urban road project, if you understand very well, you tend to see that it's not a straight line. I mean, it's not one wholesome project. It's in sections. You understand? So what is happening is the contractor, if he wants to quicken the process, would likely have to bring more resources. You understand? And work at the same time on all sections, right? Which is not feasible, because when you look at their rates for which they tendered for these jobs, it's not feasible. You can't work simultaneously on all sections. So usually what they did was like this contractor was working on 3 and he's finished the asphalting, the surfacing. That is somewhere around Carnifin Hospital, somewhere around Methodist Academy, somewhere around NEA. The surfacings are complete. So now what the decision we've taken with the president is to make sure the section of Bundung is done completed, substantially completed by end of July. So we want him to concentrate on one section, that is Bundung, put resources and make sure it's completed substantially. When I say substantial, is finishing the drain walls.
Okay.
The asphalt is not much. The asphalt is sufficient, and intersection junction.
Yeah.
These are the
So
main
due to time
junctions.
constraints,
Yes.
we have some few minutes to go.
Yeah.
The rain is not going to affect, because obviously we are in the rainy season currently. So I mean, so the construction is going to go side by side with the rainy season and finish end of July.
End of July, yes.
With the rainy season.
Yes.
It's possible.
It is possible.
Okay, so the Wollongkamba roads as well, they're still there, then, and we're in the rainy season.
Yes.
How about that? Is there any, what progress should we look forward to?
Yes, we can still work on the big, considering it's concrete works, we can do quite an amount of work during dry spells, and so yeah, we can have substantial completion as well. I'm wondering why you're not asking me, because they're two different contractors. You have the lot one. This is the SSTP CSC Al Fahad joint venture, and that other one is Pavifort. So they're two different contractors, and the progress on
No, I was just
different.
using this opportunity to actually follow up on that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll take your word for it. July, end of July, it will be done. And
Yes.
I think the citizens will also be excited that end of July, this will be done, like you mentioned.
But for me,
Okay.
yes, I know you should be asking me questions, but I'm surprised why are you asking about the other sections? That
Because this is our focus. The reason why you're here mainly is for that Bundung Road, because the president visited it. So that is the main reason why you're here for this conversation.
Well, the president visited, wanted to see the progress, and then ensure that
and then he was
potential risks are averted for communities living around the area.
All right, but thank you so much for joining us on the program.
We
we will follow up on this, considering you mentioned end of July it will be done. I guess there will be a final visit to go and see, works and how good it is, because at the end of the day, it's not just finishing it, but ensuring it is also done well, even though there's a deadline. But thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mboch. It's important that we are moving on to something very similar as the West Africa Coastal Areas Resilience Investment Project. WACA has handed over 34 flood water pumping machines to flood vulnerable communities along the Kotu stream, and this is meant to support and reduce the risk and impact of flooding on the residences of these beneficiaries. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by representatives from WACA. We'll be right back.
QCell SIM card for free. Yes, absolutely free. Walk into any of our customer care centers and get a SIM free of charge. With a QCell SIM card, you can get the fastest and the most reliable internet plus wide range of amazing services. So rush now to any of our care centers and get a free SIM now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell Sunyubus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyubus. We innovate, others follow.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So, Mr. Mboch, we're now moving on to how the WACA project is supporting vulnerable communities, flood-prone communities along the Kotu stream. And we're joined by Masane Landing Sise, who's the M&E specialist for the WACA project, and Alhaji Haruna Cham, who's a social development specialist for the WACA project. So, thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, so you gave 34 flood pumping machines to flood-prone areas along the Kotu stream. We all understand how when the rainy season comes, it affects communities living around there. So can you just take us through how this particular project was conceived and how some of these communities were also identified?
Okay, thank you very much for having us. So WACA project, Gambia is part of the West Africa Coastal Area Management Program, which is funded by the World Bank, and it's currently operating in 9 West African countries, including the Gambia, Ghana, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Sao Tome Principe, Ivory Coast, Benin, and Togo. So in the Gambia, the project was launched last year in May with an envelope size of $45 million. And the project, it's in the other countries, the project is focused on coastal area, but in the Gambia, a study was done to assess disaster hotspots, and Kotu stream is identified as the most vulnerable area in terms of disaster. So the project in the Gambia is focused on the Kotu stream, and the Kotu stream, it's 11.2 kilometers long from Nemokunku all the way to Sunset Beach. And it covers an area of 1,881 hectares, and about over 200,000 people live along the stream. So the WACA project is here to restore and reprofile the stream in order to avert the problems of flooding and pollution, as well as protect the public health of communities along the stream. So the project, it's a 5-year project. We're supposed to do an entire restoration, but these things usually are preceded by studies. Like we're in the process of doing feasibility study, which will inform what kind of design would work there. And this design will be in the form of nature-based solution, as well as creating green space to make Kotu stream more attractive and livable. And also, as part of the intervention, we'll be doing social investment, which will support women as well as urban farming and other social initiatives. These are all going to be informed by studies. So coming down to the water pumping machines, so the restoration process will begin sometime around year 3 or year 4 of the project. But we don't want the project to be here and people will be suffering from the same menace. So we thought of doing 2-pronged approach. First, we're trying to currently clean the drains, all the drains connected to the stream, as well as clean the stream itself of waste and vegetations along the stream. As you know, if you visit the Kotu stream, you find out that there are a lot of illegal dumps which actually block the natural flow of water. So these things, we currently contracted 3 farms who are removing all the waste and vegetation on the stream, as well as another farm to clean the drains that are connected to the stream. So that is in terms of making sure that flood doesn't happen. But in the event flood happens, we also thought of giving them response mechanism, which is what necessitated the 34 water pumping machines. So the 34 water pumping machines are in 2 sets. 4 of the 34 are big pumps that have the capacity to pump over 500,000 liters per hour. And these are given to Brikama. One is given to Brikama Area Council, another one is given to the KMC, and 2 is given to the National Disaster Management Agency. And the 30, which are small pumps that can be used at community level, will be distributed among communities on the Kotu stream.
So the beneficiaries will be handling it themselves?
Yes.
Are they trained, Mr. Cham, on this to do the pumping and everything? It might be technical, I'm not sure. If I can handle one.
Thank you very much. Many thanks for having us this morning. Just to continue from where my colleague stopped, the WACA project is principally looking at the Kotu stream. And if you look at the Kotu stream, like I said, it starts from Nemakunku going down to Sunset Beach Hotel. It doesn't only end there. There is a link between the stream and the ozone. And that's why we, as a country, we are qualified to be part of the World Bank program under the Coastal Management Program for the World Bank support for West Africa. Looking at the pumps that we've issued, there are 30 small pumps and then 4 large pumps. So operating them, it's a little bit technical, but not very technical. But as part of what we're going to do with the communities, say for instance, Nemakunku is going to receive 4 pumps. And then the approach we are taking, we've identified all the different hotspots where they could maybe have those pumps placed. But what they are also going to do, they will also give us 4 individuals. Each machine will be operated by an individual. And then we're going to provide training on how to operate the machine, but not only that, how also to do basic maintenance. So in the event they are operating the machines and they have issues here and there, they could be able to fix them. So the supplier of the machines is going to provide that training, and we are anticipating to do, doing that training sometimes next week or even before the end of this week. So we're just waiting to get the final names of those who are going to do the operation of the pumps once they are delivered. And the same thing also goes to the institutions, because they have large pumps. They're also going to be trained on how to operationalize those pumps, because you're very right. And then what we've been doing is like we've been having a lot of community outreach engagement to talk to them about the initiative that we are doing that we call the short-term interventions, which involves a couple of issues like Mr. Sise raised. But not only that, we also want them to be also responsive in terms of having that positive attitude towards the environment where they live. So the machines are also going to be kept within the control or management of the councillors, because if you go to these communities, they all have their ward councillors. So we're giving them to the councils, and then the councils are also responsible for delivering them to the ward councillors. The ward councillors also have their ward development committees, and then that committee is going to be responsible for managing. But in each community, they will identify operators based on the number of pumps that are given. And the distribution was also based on how vulnerable each committee is. Like, say, for instance, if you go to Nemakunku, knowing very well that it's on a low-lying environment, they are more vulnerable than any of these communities. And that's one of the reasons why they're receiving more pumps than the other communities. Yeah.
But would you still have ultimate oversight function within this? How does it work?
Exactly.
Or once you surrender it to them, that's it. How does it work?
Exactly. So we as a project, we are not going to let go just everything like that in the hands of the councils and the ward councillors and the communities. We've already prepared what we call the operational protocols. And in that operational protocol is like an MOU kind of. And in that we spell out what would be the role of the project, what would be the role of the councils, but equally, what roles are the communities expected to play in the event they are given these machines. And then as a project, we will be regularly monitoring to see what they are doing. But not only that, we want to know what effect or impact are these machines going to create at the end of the year. So we have a template, and in that template, like Masane said, the small machines have a capacity of pumping 60,000 liters in an hour. So what we are going to do, we have that template, and that template is going to kind of record data of water that they pump. Say, for instance, if a household is a victim of flooding during the rainy season, the operator would go to that household, and as soon as he starts the machine and starts pumping, then he's going to record how much or how many liters have he pumped out of that household. So that way we are able to know, say, okay, at the end of the year, in Nemakunku, we are able to, like, say, pump 10,000 liters, and in Serekunda, London Corner, we were able to pump 2,000 liters. So that would also give us much understanding or better understanding about how things are working, and in terms of vulnerability, that will also inform us better. So that's exactly what we're going to do with the pumps. We are not just leaving everything in their hands as a project. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about sustainable solutions, but you've given me an angle there, as if you are kind of experimenting. You still need to take more details than see what happens next. I was going to ask you, is this sustainable? But you've already said that you're kind of experimenting. How do you?
Yeah, so the sustainability aspect is such that we'll try by all means to ensure these machines last for at least 5 years. And by the time the 5-year ends, by that period, we would have completed the infrastructure work that needs to be done to restore the entire stream. And by which period there will be no need for machines, because flood issues will be a thing of the past.
At what
as well as
is that going to be in the project, the complete rehabilitation?
By December 2027.
December 2027.
Close of the project. By that time, we should restore the entire stream, and flooding as well as pollution should be a thing of the past, and that will go a long way in addressing overall flood and pollution problems. So just to add, in addition to the giving of flood water pumping machines, we're also about to engage on a robust engagement to change the attitude of people. Because as you know, you can clean the drains and clean the streams all you want, but people are the ones that will empty waste into this. So we're currently about to kick off a robust campaign together with NDMA and other partners to do community engagement and house-to-house engagement to change the mindset of people towards indiscriminate dumping of waste in the stream. Because that's partly responsible for why we have a lot of flooding. Because if you block the natural way of water, it has no power but to fall into people's homes.
You see, that was going to be my next question.
Good luck with that.
Because the initial conditions that we created when we were dealing with, if you don't deal with that, it's going to repeat itself.
Yeah, exactly.
But good luck with the aspect of changing people's attitude. What approach are you using? Because ben approach bi lañ yaga yu ci bi dekk bi. Dajale nit ñi wax ak ñom ndax dafa am innovative touch bi ngeen sé yoka because nit ñi wax nañ ba sona ñu bañ.
We're using a more robust approach.
Okay.
Say, for instance, we go to communities, talk to them. That's naturally very important. So they get to know what we want them to do. But part of what we are going to do within the social investments, we'll be doing investments around recycling, waste recycling. Okay. And then with that waste recycling, we'll be working with the councils. And then those councils are also working with the communities directly. So we would also have some champions who are really very good in terms of community initiative, and then we'll use those champions to be helping the project in terms of doing some outreach, but also like the issue of waste recycling is really very new in the Gambia, but it's something that the project is going to do. We will explore it, and then we will provide some support on people who are interested in having their livelihoods empowered around solid waste recycling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a minute to go, but Mr. Mbodj, I have a suggestion for them. I think they should do like a competition in communities because deka bi xaliss ko neexul ba neexul xaliss ay doxal deka bi de so len fi tege ben $100,000 ne at bi su jeexee community bu gëna set le drainage si ngeen na gis drainage yu set si biir deka bi lay def no honestly they have to do this competition. You have to so len ko defute tek fa xaliss bi nga xamne physical cash these people can see. They will not be regulated. Yes, so you guys, this is a suggestion. Better do a ward competition for the different wards as to the cleanest. And then you will have judges who will come around to check stuff. The moment you do things like that, bringing some sort of competition that has a monetary value, it's unfortunate that people have to be paid for them to be regulated. But that is the situation where we find ourselves.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
So that's a very good proposal.
Yeah.
But just to make it more tangible, what we are going to do, like I said, we'll be doing a lot of solid waste and management initiative for recycling, around recycling. So maybe the competition would be directed towards that, not just giving them monetary value, but also giving them the equipment. So if you give them the equipment, then they know that, okay, this one is going to be given equipment, and not only that, it's going to kind of have an improvement in their livelihood.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us on the program, and looking forward to when the Kotu stream will be completely rehabilitated, because at the end of the day, that is the whole goal of this particular project. Mr. Mbodj, moving on, we will be joined by Mamadou Gajaga and Amadou Tamba, who are both sports journalists for QTV, and we'll be taking a look at Gambian youngster Yankuba Minteh has taken a huge step in his career. 33 million euro?
He's off to Brighton.
My son has to be a footballer. I have to work towards it. Whatever the case, whoever you are, wherever you are going to be trained to be a footballer. So we're just going to go for a short break, and when we come back, the both of them will explain to us the entire process of this particular deal with Brighton. We'll be right back.
Oh, Yankuba, welcome to the club. How are you feeling about the move?
Yeah, I'm feeling happy about the move. Brighton is a club which I watch in the Premier League, so yeah, I'm very happy about the move.
And what have you thought about the team when you've seen them play in the Premier League?
Yeah, I thought it's a good team. It's a good club for young players also, because I watch the games and the way they play and the way they recruit the young players. I think it's a good thing to join, yeah.
Was that important for you, the progression of young players?
Yeah, it's really important for me because I'm also a young player. The progression is really, really very important.
Tell us a bit about your journey to here. You grew up in Gambia, but then how did your football journey begin?
Yeah, my football journey begins in Denmark, a club called Obi Odense. That's where I was before, and then I get signed by Newcastle, and then get loaned to Feyenoord in Netherlands, and then yeah, from there now in Brighton now.
How challenging was that first move to Denmark, and how important was it for you?
Yeah, it was difficult for me because where I started my footballing career, the football is not that powerful, but the whole country loves football and everybody likes to play football. Yeah, it was a little bit difficult for me, but now I would say, yeah, everything's going well.
And you mentioned the move to Newcastle. How was that?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to move to a Premier League club. Although I didn't play any game there, but it was a good thing for me. And now look where I am now. I moved to a new club, which is in the Premier League also. I think now I get the chance to play in the Premier League.
And Feyenoord, that must have been some experience.
Yeah, Feyenoord is a great experience for me. Everybody loved me, the coaching staff, players, everybody hold me like a family. Yeah, I was very happy there, yeah.
And you scored 10 goals last season in 27 appearances. Do you feel like you've arrived now as a young player?
Yeah, I think I arrived as a young player now because that was in my goal. I want to score more goals. I want to score like maybe 20 goals in one season. But unfortunately I scored 10, so I think I still have the chance to prove myself that I can score more goals, yeah.
What are you like as a player? Describe how you are on the pitch.
I'm a player who like pressing so much. Everything, I do all my things in intensity, yeah.
All right, that is Yankuba Minte there. And we are joined by Mamadou Gajaga as well as Amadou Tamba, who are both sports journalists in the QTV newsroom. But Mamadou Gajaga, you've been following Yankuba Minte a lot with different stories that you've done, and you've seen him grow from strength to strength. So what can you tell us about this move from Newcastle to now Brighton?
Fantastic move, good for his career as a youngster, as a footballer, you know, who is developing gradually. I think, you know, he's a footballer who started from scratch, played street football, played academy football. In the Gambia, just in 2021, he was playing for Steve Biko, it's the first division club. He was in there for long, and then he had this opportunity to go to Denmark. Initially, it was trials, you know. They just want to look at what type of a player he is. He's a talented footballer. Eventually, Obi Odense signed him, and then from that, you know, he started performing very well in the Danish Superliga and had a fantastic season. That was the time the Newcastle scouts spotted him, signed him, but he never played for Newcastle. Of course, he was loaned out to Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie, where last season, fantastic, scored 10 goals and had some very good assists. Played in the UEFA Champions League, scored a goal in the UEFA Champions League. Had some very brilliant games, especially when his side Feyenoord played against Atletico Madrid. That was one of his best games in the Champions League. So as a youngster, he's been progressing rapidly. It's within a short period of time all this happened. I think it's down to his dedication, his hunger for success, and also it is down to his talent. Yankuba Minte is that brilliant player, modern day football. He talks about high pressing during this interview, which is hugely important. High pressing is when you don't have the ball as a team, you press your opponent so that they can make mistakes, and then you win the ball back again. He does that a lot. He also does a lot of tracking. That is, without the ball, if his team is on the receiving end, he will go back and make sure that he helps his team in defending. So that has been a fantastic thing for the team and also for the player. And this transfer, there was a saga just
I saw that.
sometime last week, few days ago, that the player, his heart is to play in the Premier League. Newcastle United had some financial fair play issues that they have to deal with. They have to sell a player to be able to balance their books, because in the Premier League, according to the rules and regulations, you are not allowed to spend beyond your means. Basically, you have to somehow balance your books. So that's the reason why they are forced to sell Yankuba Minteh because he's a huge asset, even though they would have loved to keep him at the club to start because he's a young star and then he has a bright future ahead of him. So eventually Brighton Hove Albion won the race until when he signed on Sunday. There was another team, Everton, were interested. There was a time Olympique Lyon, in fact, paid a lot of money, somewhere around the region of $40 million. So that was also part of the deal, but eventually the player's heart eventually went to Brighton Hove Albion. That's to play in the Premier League, and now he signed his 5-year contract, £33 million, good money. Good for a youngster of his age.
That's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And you know what, Mr. Mboj? Now Gajaga is explaining this before we come to Ahmed. I'm confused, I have to be honest, because I'm not a football person. I don't understand, why would Newcastle want to sell Minteh?
But that is the thing.
He explained it while can't they sacrifice someone else?
Well, they wouldn't.
The reason is... I'm not being ignorant, guys. Disclaimer, I don't know. I want to know.
Yes. The reason is they cannot sell other players because they have a player like Alexander Isak. He's been their top striker in the Premier League. He's scored a lot of goals for them.
Yeah.
They have a player like Bruno Guimaraes who plays in midfield, another fantastic player. They have Anthony Gordon, who is also a youngster, fantastic player for them. Those has been like the key of their team.
So they can't give them up.
They can't put those ones up for sale. So obviously they would have to look for kind of a better option. Okay, this is a player that we have not tested yet. And it's good money also. At the end of the day, it's business.
Okay.
That's how football works.
All right.
Yeah.
So he's never played for Newcastle?
No, he's never played for Newcastle. Yeah. So he only was sent
So
on loan.
Amadou, what's your take on this particular one? 33 million euro, Yankuba Minteh.
The whole trajectory,
yeah.
this young man's trajectory.
Yeah.
Seeing Yankuba Minteh play in the Gambian League for Steve Biko, you could see determination, you could see hunger in this kid in wanting to go as far as he could possibly go in the game of football. And you look at 2021 to 2024, it's just a very short span of time. And if someone tells you that you will have a player who will leave the Gambia, go to Europe and go and play in the biggest league in the world, you will not believe it in a short space of time. But Yankuba is a player who is very, very good on the ball and very good without the ball, because in modern day football, even if you're good on the ball, when you go to a trial, if you have deficiency without the ball, you find it very difficult to even pass. And Yankuba is someone, at first, in his trials at OB, he did not impress that much. He was giving a second chance, and from there on, he just sparked to life, and OB captured him. And from there on, he was very, very good with OB, and then Newcastle saw him and picked him up. He did not play for Newcastle. They sent him on loan to Feyenoord. He did exceptionally well with Feyenoord, and Newcastle have to recall him during the preseason. But the issue why Newcastle wanted to sell him, because there is this important financial sustainability rule in the Premier League that you are not allowed to make losses of more than 105 million in the space of 3 years. So if you lose an amount of money that exceeds that, you might face sanctions, you might face points deduction in the Premier League. So Newcastle were trying to look into that in order to balance their books. So they've seen that Minteh is an absolute asset that they would have wanted to keep, but where it was, they could not keep him. And they were giving a deadline of 30th June.
So we have just 2 minutes to go. So what does it mean for the Gambian team? Because Yankuba is playing for the Gambia.
Yeah, this is what we've been yearning for. We want to see Gambian players playing in the top leagues in Europe, and especially the Premier League, which is followed by so many Gambians. The first Gambian player we had in the Premier League was Modou Barrow when he played for Swansea. Made his debut against Arsenal. He was signed for just 1.5 million. Now Yankuba gets to 30 million pounds. That is over 2 billion Gambian dollars.
Wow.
So it's a lot of money. This means a lot to Gambian football. And if Brighton did not have a fan in the Gambia, now they have a lot of fans in the Gambia, because everybody will support Brighton.
They're rushing to
because
follow
of
their
Minteh.
page.
And this is an inspiration for the youngsters. Those watching, even if you're playing in the 3rd division or 2nd division or 1st division, this story of Yankuba Minteh is an inspiration to every Gambian player. They will sit and say, look, we were playing with Yankuba in the Gambian League. Within 2-3 years, he's playing in the Premier League. So I can definitely do like Yankuba Minteh.
So Gajaga, is this the first time we have a player being sold for 33 million euro in the Gambia? Can we say in Gambian history?
He's the most expensive player ever
in the Gambia.
Gambia's history.
Yes. Wow.
All the other players, yes, Musa Barrow was signed for 19 million euros. But that's the trajectory. That's the highest. And Yankuba Minteh is 33 million.
So Brighton, good choice, good team.
Good choice, good team. He's a team that he can quickly adapt. There are youngsters like him, like Adingra, Mitoma, and then you also have
Adingra.
Yes,
that one.
Adingra, Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
And also, I was watching a TikTok, intervention that he had, and he talked about how out of not Mo Salah, not all these people, but Sadio Mane is actually his role model, when it comes to, the African continent. What does that mean, having Sadio Mane as your role model, as a person who's just starting as an African?
Yes, of course. Sadio Mane fought his way through, started up in France and then went to England, played for Southampton, and then, it's because of his performance, that's why he was signed by Liverpool. So following the same trajectory, I think it's fantastic. I think that kind of a role model, the future is bright for him. And good for Gambia's national team.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we need. We want good players for our team.
And sooner or later, he would outgrow that. He would become Yankuba Minte.
Yankuba, just the Minte. Yeah, just Minte. That has nothing to do with Sadio Mane at the end of the day. But we have the World Cup quite quickly. When is our next game? Okay. Oh, unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Sorry about that. But Mr. Mbod, like I said, Nyari Domi, better get them to play football. That's your only chance, and the both of you as well. Till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.